Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Maggie, and welcome to the M&M Debrief, the podcast where Mike and Maggie discuss the top stories in politics and sports and try to make sense of the headlines. Mike, do we have any follow-ups from the last episode?
I have a number of follow-ups. This might be an entire episode of follow-ups here.
Heavy on the follow-ups. Okay.
Heavy on the follow-ups. Just want to get the facts straight with my our fans here. So we've been talking about the USS Abraham for a while, being low on supplies and all that stuff, and mutiny and jumping off and everything. Just want to let folks know the U.S. Abraham Lincoln is not the only ship that is having issues down here. We've got the USS Benfold, the USS Higgins, the USS Nimitz. They're all having various mechanical or supply chain issues that are wreaking havoc with them. I think one of the bases in Bahrain, which was a major supply hub, apparently when the Iranians hit that, they screwed everything up. So the Abraham Lincoln is not the only one.
Right.
That is having some issues. Just wanted to let people know it's the most famous one because it's an aircraft carrier. So,
Gotcha.
And then I had mentioned that the USS Gerald Ford was still in theater as the second aircraft carrier. I was wrong on that. It's out of theater, and it's the USS George H.W. Bush that's actually in theater there. The Ford had some various issues as well, probably similar to what the Lincoln is having. So, all right. I just wanted to confirm that North Korea became a nuclear power between 2016 and 2017. So at the very end of the Obama administration, at the very beginning of the Trump administration, that's when they were doing a bunch of testing, and then they eventually became nuclear. They're probably in 2017. So. And I had mentioned that the U.S. does not have any drone defense, and it was the head of NORAD that was saying that. I was wrong on that. It was the deputy commander of Northcom. So we've got all these various commands, CENTCOMs, AfricaCom. This is Northcom, which is North America. And Joseph Gerard, Jarrard, the deputy commander of Northcom, not NORAD, had said that we basically have no defense against drones. So
great.
Sorry, just wanted to make sure.
Add it to the happy pile. Yeah.
Yes, still the same problem. I just wanted to let you guys know it was the guy in charge of Northcom, not NORAD.
Got it.
And we mentioned Lake Mead. I think it was last episode. Anyway, I just wanted to follow up that the lake is getting so low that they're starting to find skeletal remains.
Oh, gross.
Which is kind of a thing during a drought. Whenever the water levels on various rivers and lakes becomes low, eventually you find a car that drove off in there, or some skeletal remain or something. So they're starting to find skeletal remains in Lake Mead because the water's so low. So,
God. Okay.
I'll keep you posted if it's anybody famous like Jimmy Hoffa or something. But
there you go.
Anyway, all right, those are my follow-ups. So let me see. Going on to the New World Order International. Looks like we have transitioned now into Operation Economic Fury. We used to, what was it? Epic Fury?
Fury.
Now it's Economic Fury. We're going to try
sanctions. Fury. Okay, yes, economic.
Econ Fury, which is basically the go-to tool that we've had forever, being able to sanction people because the U.S. being the U.S. dollar being the reserve currency, and everybody's got to do a lot of business.
Maybe he should have started with that. Just saying.
Say it.
Before you go to the epic, start with the econ, like everybody else does.
Yeah, maybe. And maybe we'd be in a little different situation.
Already give them hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars?
I think that was part of the MOU, which ended up collapsing.
And so now he's coming back saying, no, I want it back, or I'm going to punish you now after giving you billions of dollars.
What he's saying
was theirs, but.
Well, yeah. Well, what he's saying is, I know I fucked up.
And he has no cards left.
I got to try to save some face.
That's the last card he has.
I'm going to act tough, and I'm going to have my boy Bessent act tough.
And it's not an ace.
Yeah, what he doesn't know is that how many people don't give a shit anymore about the dollar. I mean, China already came out and said they are not going to support any sanctions on economic
Right.
D-Day, is what he called it. In fact, I think China has a law to all these businesses, the Chinese businesses, that if you follow an American sanction, you'll get in trouble with China. So I'm pretty sure these guys would rather get in trouble with America than dealing with a Chinese prison because so.
Right.
And I don't think it'll be very much longer before other countries just say, "Screw this." Yeah,
Exactly.
we'll buy and sell our oil, whatever we want,
We'll
and
do whatever we want.
we'll
F
do
you,
our
F you,
business,
Trump. What
whatever
did you
we
ever
want.
do for us
Yeah,
except
and
give us tariffs?
we have zero trust in America anymore. And yeah, Donald Trump's time will pass, but how do we know you're not going to elect another shithead to do the same thing? And so. Yeah, so I don't think this is going to go very far, but it is now the new thing. Now, on the actual kinetic front, Israel did, but I'm telling you, Israel and Turkey are going to be a thing here at some point because, Turkey signed the Mecca Pact with Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. And Turkey actually has military presence in Syria. And Israel hit an air base, the Abu el Duhar air base, which had some Turkish advisors there or something. They had just visited, and so they hit the airfield after they had left. I think this is going to be a thing. The Hezbollah in Lebanon has got drones, and it's got the IDF backed up on their heels with drones. So I guess Israel now needs to fight somebody else because they know they're going to lose.
Continue
Yeah,
fighting
they need to continue fighting, keep Bibi out of jail, and keep America tuned up and everything. And don't be surprised if there's some action in Syria between Turkey, and that would be a sticky wicket, because then if Turkey's in NATO, and if somebody attacks Turkey, people are talking about, well, if Turkish troops get hit in Syria, does that count? Does NATO have to come to their defense if their troops are not in Turkey, if they're in a different country? So people are already talking about this, so they're trying to figure out what's what. If I had a bet, I would bet that if things fire up, I would say America would probably leave NATO before they supported Turkey against Israel. If it came down to we have to support Turkey, which is part of NATO, against their fight against Israel, America would leave NATO first before they did that. So, which would be monstrous.
Isn't Turkey a friend of the U.S. or a friend of Trump?
Friendly,
Erdogan?
yeah, he likes Erdogan because he's kind of a tough guy. He's not quite a dictator, but he's like Kim Jong-un or Xi from China. But
so Trump is going to react.
He's a tough guy.
Yeah, Trump is going to react with, well, I like both these guys, so I'll just stay out of it, and you guys go ahead and fight each other. So I bet he's going to stay out of it, and then NATO will need to do something on their own.
Right. And and so I think one of either, like I just said, either America will leave NATO, or maybe Turkey will just say, oh, fuck it. We're a Middle Eastern country now. We're not a European country. Just physically where they're located, it's kind of hard to tell. I've never been to Turkey, so I don't quite know exactly what they're like.
Trump has no respect for any kind of contract. He just won't even need to officially leave NATO. He just won't do anything. Right? He just won't commit to the, what is it?
Now, right.
Article 5.
Then it would, then the other issue would be, well, how about the rest of the NATO countries? They're all worried about Russia. Are they going to really want to go support Turkey? And at least England wouldn't want to, because they're huge Zionists. Maybe the rest of the and Germany, I don't know. This, if there ends up being an issue with Turkey and Israel, it might end up being the end of NATO, because Europe's not going to want to fight that fight. They're going to want to get ready for Russia, and then Turkey would be, and Turkey's already making agreements with other Middle Eastern countries, so that might be the end of it. That's
to your point, a sticky wicket. England needs to figure out who their buddies are. And if they've made a commitment to NATO, they might just stand up to that. They might just support it and just say, sorry, Israel, because they have a commitment made that goes back, since World War II.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of
And
the
they have
Zion,
more integrity than the U.S.
well, yeah, a lot of the Zionist
Trump.
stuff it's got its origins in Europe with the
Mm-hmm.
Dreyfus affair, which was in France, and so there's some decent Zionist strains in Europe as well, and they're not going to want to fight against Israel, I think. But
I just don't know
but
what the
how?
attraction is to Israel, actually.
Yeah,
Everybody
I
should be
mean,
looking at Israel, at Bibi Netanyahu, just as they're looking at Trump. It's,
right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know I mean, but other European countries like Spain and other ones that are fighting like hell against, in favor of Palestine and stuff. So
right.
I can't. I'm having a hard time seeing NATO staying as is. In the long term, I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or next year or 2 years from now or whatever. But I don't see NATO staying together.
Okay.
And then America now has tankers refueling tankers flying, covering over UAE. And so people are thinking there might be some action happening here. I don't think I've seen anything on CNN, but the tankers are actually flying out of Qatar, and all the other
I
jets
thought a
and
tanker
planes
was a
are.
ship.
No, it's all right. It's a refueling air, which is also sorry. The word tanker gets used both on ships and in
Yes.
air.
Yeah, oil. Okay.
Sorry about that. These are refueling aircraft. It was a KC-130s or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They are in the air, I'm hearing. So I don't want to predict, but don't be surprised if there's some more kinetic action going on here. It's Friday, the markets are closed. Maybe check CNN. We might see something fired up here. So
Let's see if
anyway,
we can access those tweets from Truth Social that the Wall
sure.
Street people have 2 hours earlier. Yeah.
We need people to contribute to our podcast so that we can pay for the inside access to Trump's stuff. So let me see. There has been an arrest made in the Nord Stream pipeline explosion case. Looks like it was some couple of guys. I think they're Ukrainian, but they weren't working on behalf of the Ukrainian government. A couple of guys in Germany. So that actually. And I still can't quite figure out the reasoning behind this. It was a Nord Stream pipeline is going from Russia into Germany. So if you don't want that, then you don't want Germany. I think some people don't want Europe to be dependent on Russian natural gas.
Or they don't want Russia to be making money.
Or they don't want Russia to be making money.
Yeah.
So they knock it down, something like that. And
That was one of the issues, is that Europe became more dependent on Russia for oil. And
right, so they don't want to fight Russia. And
right.
so if they try to look for alternate ways around Russia,
Mm.
So there's a couple of guys. They were Ukrainian, but I don't think they were operating under the Ukrainian government's purview, I guess. So, and then speaking of Ukraine, they just been trading blows for the last few days. But apparently, the Fedorov guy, I probably should have had this under follow-ups. The general that he let go, and then he tried to hire him back. Apparently, Fedorov is his name.
Fedorov.
He's very popular, and Zelensky's popularity is starting to wane a little bit just because fatigue, and then there's a corruption overhead on all this. Looks like Fedorov's gonna run against him in the election. I don't quite know exactly when their election is, but it looks like Fedorov's going to try to run against Zelensky, which might be trouble for Zelensky because Fedorov's kind of popular. So
Zelensky needs a break. He's been fighting this war for how long? And,
yeah,
he's been doing a pretty admirable job, I think people generally say. And maybe it is time for somebody else to take the reins and just,
yep.
help take it home.
Yeah, it's a long time. And, Winston Churchill even got kicked out of office.
Yeah, after the war.
All the English people just love to talk about Winston Churchill, but he got voted out too,
He did.
Yeah, so
people want to move on, yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to, let's try somebody else. It's been 4 years or 4.5 years, whatever it's been. And the people in Russia too, you think, they would say, it's like we conquered all of Europe in 3 years, and here we got coming up on 5 years, and we still can't even get into this podunk country called Ukraine, so they're getting and they can't quite understand why they're getting bombed. It's like, what did we do to them? It's like, wait a minute, have you
Good
seen,
Lord.
because of media, you could chalk that under media blackout. You don't,
Right.
nobody knows what they're doing, 'cause
Right.
same thing in America. I mean, if you only watch American TV, you would have no friggin' clue what the hell is happening here. So,
Especially if it was Fox News or OAN.
yeah, yes. So, all right. Anyway, that's what I got for the war. Unless you got something else you want to talk about.
No, I do not.
All right. So going to domestic, I think we're 24/7 on the bond market now. So
What does that mean? Sorry.
it's not good. Yeah, if the bond market is in the news, that's bad news.
Bad news.
The bond market is kind of the thing you never
Bond
want.
market should not make news, should not be in the news.
The
Right.
bond market should not make news. Yes, and that's like in the stock market. They say, if you see the stock market in the news, it's time to sell. Like, yeah, the Dow Jones made an all-time high. It's like, sell.
Lord.
You never want to be, right?
Right.
And if they say, oh, the Dow Jones just reached a 52-year low, it's like, okay, buy. Now time to buy. Anyway, Scott Bessent on Tuesday, surprisingly, Scott Bessent, U.S. Treasury Secretary, stepped in and started buying some bonds at the auction, and he bought twice as many as he normally did, and he was just selling short-term bonds to buy back the long-term bonds because the yield on the long-term bonds was too high. So he's trying to get the yield on the long-term bonds. He's trying to get some support for people to buy the long-term bonds, so that the yield would go down,
Right.
and we wouldn't have to pay so much in debt interest.
Right. In interest to people who are the bond
Exactly.
holders.
So he's basically borrowing from Peter to pay Paul to pay Peter back.
Well,
and
it's
then
just
also
like
pay Paul back.
poor people in America right now trying to afford their groceries.
When they transfer the balance from one credit card to another.
There you go.
That's basically what our Treasury Department is doing, and it ain't good news. I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast. We talk about the stock market, but when the bond market gets effed up, then we're effed up, because in order for us to keep spending, we have to keep we got to convince people to give us money with our bonds, and if we can't do that, then we can't spend like drunken sailors
stuff
like we've been doing for however many years, and that ain't good for those of you that like a certain sort of standard of living in America. So the rule of thumb is, if anybody's fucking around with the bond market, that's bad. And they're trying to keep the yields. Yeah, they're trying to keep the yields under 5%. The yield on the 30-year is now over 5%, 5.3%-ish.
Well, you mentioned that to watch that, and if it goes over 5, that's when you should start to panic. And
yeah, if the 10-year goes over 10 goes over 5, Katie by the door. Yeah, the people aren't going to be happy. So, and it's starting to freak people out. And so just make sure, if you got money in the stock market, keep your stops in and maybe go to cash a little bit,
because there might be a downturn in the stock market.
Right. And yeah, even though a lot of what's driving the stock market now isn't necessarily dependent on oil, but it is dependent on a looser monetary policy, and if people are trying to tighten things up and whatever. Yeah, so I think these guys are worried. And the Fed still has a bunch of stuff on their balance sheet from the last time we had the recession, and it was like 20 years ago, or 18, whatever it was, 2007, 2008. Yeah, so it's hard to predict what's happening, because these people are not logical actors here. I mean, Bessent's actually a fairly respectable guy. He made a shit ton in currency, but so Bessent kind of knows what he's doing, but he's swallowed the Kool-Aid, and he's just trying to deal the best he can. Warsh, the new Fed chairman, I guarantee you Warsh wants to raise rates because of inflation. But they can't. I'm pretty sure they would raise rates because of inflation. He wants to, and he's trying to be deferential to the guy that just appointed him, who wants to lower rates. Trump wants to lower rates, which would be incredibly stupid. But
well, that would be the opposite of what would be smart.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Kevin Warsh, the Fed chairman, is also fairly respected.
Yeah.
And he knows damn well that he's got to raise rates, and so.
Yeah.
And
thank God Trump can't fire the Fed. That
yeah.
and the stupid Supreme Court actually realized that would be dumber than dumb to give him that capability. Just related to that, though, Walmart missed their sales projections, and actually their sales growth slowed this last quarter. So their stock went down by 10%.
Yeah, that kind of surprised me because I thought that Costco and Walmart would be the Alamo.
Teflon. Yeah.
The Alamo of our economy, right? If you can't afford anything else, at least you can afford Walmart and Costco. So,
Right. And, part of the problem, I think, is that Walmart stopped covering the cost of the tariffs and started passing along the tariffs to consumers.
Yep. I did get wind of that a number of months ago that they were going to try to eat some of those tariffs, and they obviously changed their mind on that.
They might lower prices now, though, because of the refund. Maybe. So
yeah, I'm not a Walmart fan, but if they were to do that, they'd be like the only company I've heard of that actually tried to refund some stuff to their. Now, if they were eating the tariffs, then the tariffs get refunded. They should be able to keep it. But if they were passing on, and then they should try to lower their prices to try to help. I would agree. So
for sure.
I can't believe I'm praising Walmart here. So
I know, but they are a barometer for the economy. I mean.
Yep.
Well, to your point, them and Costco, yeah.
Yeah, I'm more of a Target man myself, but we'll see. Let's see. Donald J. Trump is now allowing 300,000 metric tons of beef to be imported.
Yes, I saw that.
Into the country without tariffs.
I wonder if it's coming from Argentina, his new best buddy.
I think, between them and Brazil. Brazil and Argentina.
Like Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil and Argentina are kind of like the Texas and Oklahoma of South America. They got all the beef. They got all the South American cowboys and all that. So yeah, I mean, obviously we talked that our beef supply in America is down.
Yeah.
The Strait of Hormuz has closed off all the fertilizer, a lot of the fertilizer as well as the oil. So.
But the low herd count goes back a while.
I think the low cattle count might go back a couple of years or year and a half.
But there were a bunch of other, I remember reading there were a bunch of other reasons it had to do with, just maintaining the ranches and stuff. It became very costly. And so they reduced their herds to save money and that kind of thing. So we can use that as a follow-up. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. And I think the ranch owners are not happy with Trump, of course, because the cost of beef is going to go down, but Americans will be able to have hamburgers again.
Yes, they will.
I mean, hamburger was $10 a pound at the store the other week. I literally had to walk by it. That's just ridiculous. $10 a pound for ground beef? Jeez.
Yeah, there's a silent. It's silent. People are just doing what you did. Just they're walking by and they want to complain, but they don't know who to complain to. They just go home to their spouse and like you do and go, it's 10 pounds. It's 10 pounds.
It's turkey again.
I know, and I'm sitting there going, can I just get a friggin' hamburger, honey? It's like, no, honey, we're eating chicken and turkey again tonight. Like, God damn it.
I am getting a little tired of the chicken all the time.
Okay.
At least Costco chicken's $5.99.
Yeah, and then the
deal,
chicken. The chicken for a while, didn't the chicken have some flu issues? I think the chickens are making a comeback.
Chickens are holding their own. Yeah.
Right. So anyways.
There was a lawsuit. Somebody said that the Costco chickens were not preservative free as advertised, and Costco lost that lawsuit. So, yeah. But so they've either changed their advertising or they've made sure that they're preservative free now.
All right. Speaking of farmers and fertilizer, there's a fair amount of farmers now. This is not good news. This is good capitalism, but it's not good news. A lot of farmers purchased their fertilizer ahead of time. Before the shit hit here. So a number of farmers bought fertilizer in advance of planting season and whatnot. And then we had this war and the fertilizer prices go through the roof. And they decided instead of taking their fertilizer and saying, oh, thank God I got fertilizer I can plant. They go, no, I'll just sell all this fertilizer and make a profit of 100%.
To my neighbor farmers and make a profit. And I'm going to sit back and watch their crops grow.
And I'm going to take the summer off. And I already made my money. And me and the wife are going to go to Dallas and, and have a vacation, or wherever they go, Cabo. And yeah, so that's good. That's a good capitalism, but it's bad because we want both of these guys farming. So there's a guy
We
who sells
actually do need food to eat.
yeah, we actually do need food. And the guy who originally had the fertilizer should use it to grow. And the other guy who needed fertilizer, he should have fertilizer so he can grow. I assume it's men. I'm sorry. I'm sure there's plenty of women who are in charge of farms. But, so we still got less food. You got one guy making bank on the fertilizer.
So prices are going to go up because there's a lower supply of corn and vegetables and soy, etc.
Yes, to state the obvious, I'm trying to think of any scenario that's going to bring prices down. Like everything that's happening, you pick it. Fertilizers here, we got less beef. Every issue is causing prices to go up. There is no factor that's mitigating prices and bringing them down. So you better.
Everybody's acting in their own self-interest.
Yeah, it's Adam Smith,
which is nothing different to anybody else in business, but that's why you need good government to kind of keep everybody in line and to things don't happen.
Well, that's a deep dive we should go into. It's like one of the reasons that people like to come do business in America is because we have a well-regulated market and people follow the rule of law. Well, both of those ain't happening anymore. So if you're a national businessman, you're going to go, well, I'm not going to go to America. They don't give a shit about the rule of law. They don't have any regulation. So I'll go to Europe and try it, or I'll go to China and try it, so.
Business people need stability.
Exactly.
Predictability. Otherwise, they can't plan. They can't take risks. They can't invest in the future of their own business. It's just...
I agree completely. And so anyway, all right. So I got a few miscellaneous items here. There's a company called Greenland Energy, which is just got created in Texas. They're starting to put some drilling equipment.
I read this.
On Greenland.
Yeah.
So I don't think any drilling has happened, but
No, not yet. What they did, honey, is they came along with their big barge and they had these big, carriers, boxes, and they unloaded them onto the country of Greenland on the coast without permission. And they said, hi, we're with a drilling company. We're leaving our stuff here on your land. See ya. And then they took off. And so the Greenland people are looking at these huge,
dredgers and all this
everything
other stuff
for oil. And I guess they're wondering what to do with it. And, I think I might have thrown it all into the Arctic Ocean, but
it's pretty heavy.
It's still there. Yeah.
Well, you think they would have a hotline to Denmark, right? Say, hey, these guys are moving in here. Can we get a little support?
Yeah, seriously.
The Danish Navy or something,
right?
And maybe can't. If I was Denmark, I'd get a hold of Canada. I'd call Carney and go, hey, can we? I'll give you half of Greenland if you help us keep these marauding capitalists out of here. So.
Well, this is just maybe a type of strategy. I'm not going to ask permission. I'm just going to go ahead and just do what I want to do and stop me. Let's see.
Yeah, exactly. That is the way Trump works. Like, I'm going to do it. Fuck you. Stop me. You don't like it? Stop me. Denmark, you don't like me? Stop me. And it's a survival of the fittest so to speak. So I'll let you guys decide whether that's right or wrong. But Greenland, and actually Greenland is strategic now that the ice is all melting and people are. I think I just saw that one of the first ships went through the North Passage from China through to Murmansk, which is in northern Russia. And it's actually starting to be a thing now, the northern trade routes or whatever. So Trump's kind of a pig, but at least he's right to focus on Greenland. Well, his people are telling him to focus on Greenland, not him. He's not smart enough to figure that out, but his people are telling him that.
He's just going to pillage it like every other asset.
Yep. We'll see. Yep, absolutely. So Moderna has created apparently a new cancer vaccine. I think they're using
amazing.
MRNA technology for some sort of cancer thing. Their stock price went up like 114% over the week. So
very cool.
We'll see exactly what kind of cancer. Hope it works. I agree. And speaking of screwed up politicians, apparently Darlene Graham, who's sitting in for Lindsey Graham now.
Darlene Graham. Mm-hmm.
Apparently she's actually running for Congress.
She is.
They've got an election. Apparently they're running, and
she is running. And Trump endorsed her.
Yeah, they had a debate a couple days ago. I think Greta Van Susteren was there, and they asked her, what do you think? Does Taiwan have a strategic interest? And what do you think if China would attack Taiwan? And she basically said, I don't know anything about foreign affairs. I'll read up on it and I'll get back to you. Basically, it was just friggin' embarrassing.
But truthful.
She was telling the truth. She was being honest. I'll give her honesty.
Yes.
But I mean, this is a woman who's running for we have 340 million people in this country, and we have 100 senators. She's running to be one of the 100 people in charge of our country. And I mean, God bless her. I'll give her honesty, but my God, we can't do better than this. I'm sure that she's a lovely woman and could, but geez, my God, come on.
Yeah, I heard that Trump basically backed her, and now maybe he's having second thoughts, But
yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but
who cares?
Yeah. Yikes, is what I'm trying to say. And I got some very sad news. Frank Beard died.
And
Frank Beard.
Frank Beard?
Come on, honey.
Frank Beard.
You grew up listening to that Eurotrash rock and roll shit you listen to. Frank Beard, drummer for ZZ Top.
I like ZZ Top.
He died.
He did have a beard. Yeah.
He was the only one without a beard, actually.
Really?
Yeah, the two guys in charge, they had big beards.
And he was named Frank Beard, and he was the only one without a beard.
His name was Frank Beard, and he did not. He had a mustache. He had a decent mustache, but he did not have a beard. So the drummer for ZZ Top died a few days ago. So
that's too bad.
Kind of a bummer. Sharp dressed man.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes, so kind of bad news for me. So anyway, that's all I got, dear.
Well, that's good, honey. That's a good amount. Well,
got any follow-ups? Got any of your own follow-ups?
I have nothing to. Oh, I will add something because I do tend to complain about the ballroom a lot, and I just read that our illustrious Supreme Court, John Roberts, actually did go ahead and allow Trump to continue building his ballroom while they review his appeal to not have to actually ask Congress for permission. So another strike against the Supreme Court. My guess is that he will continue building, and then it'll be like, well, he's already got this much done. Might as well finish it up.
Just let him finish, huh?
Yeah. I mean, to your point, there's no law anymore. Nobody has to follow the law. It's ridiculous. So anyway, the ballroom continues to be built, and we'll see what the Supreme Court will actually decide. So, all right. Well, that's all that we have today. As always, please follow, subscribe, or share this with a good buddy.
And thank you for listening to episode 36.
36. Goodbye.